Yo, yo, yo.
What's up, you guys? How are you today? You ready, Tanya?
Let's go, let's go, let's go.
I am so excited. My name is Ashley Denmark.
I'm Antonio Demar.
We are your fearless investors, dear. We are here to take you from your fears to really starting to execute your dreams, executing your goals. Getting beyond those fears is so important. We have Jason Lavender, and I can't wait. Let me add Jason in. We have
Well,
Jason Lavender in, and I'm so excited to get started with Jason. I'm so excited to hear more about him. Were you getting ready to say something?
the one thing that I want to make sure that I say to the people is fear is a part of investing. Understand that you're never going to be free of fear. There's always going to be a sense of fear and risk in anything you're doing when it comes to the investing world. Just understand that you have to learn how to compartmentalize it, how to get enough information to overcome those fears and move on. And don't worry about if I fail, if this happened, if that happens. Just deal with it when it happens, if it happens. If you talk those things into the atmosphere, that's what's going to come. All right. So I'm excited to have Jason.
Jason Lavender is in the building.
Yes, he is a part of our mentorship with the one and only Tom Crow.
Absolutely. Shout out to Tom Crow.
Yes, Tom Crow is amazing. So we just want to bring different people to you guys to talk about their journey, their experiences, and how they handle fear.
Absolutely. Jason is the CEO of Harmony Home Buyers. He started off with, you know what? Let's find out.
Who is Jason? Tell us who is Jason Lavender. Did I say it right?
You said it right.
Yes.
What's up, guys? Thanks for having me on. Yeah, I much like yourself in real estate, I've got a pretty, I don't know, maybe typical story, maybe not typical story. Let me back up to how I jumped into real estate. I've been a lifelong entrepreneur. Before I jumped into real estate, I was a painter. I was a house painter. And I saw the writing on the wall. We're talking about fear, maybe some limiting beliefs. I mean, I've had all of that. And you could probably imagine being a house painter, not real glamorous. And I really kind of pigeonholed myself into a box. But I realized that I needed to break through the glass ceiling and the writing on the wall. I don't see a whole lot of 70-year-old house painters, to be honest.
Man.
So
right.
Taking an educated leap of faith and honestly, learning how to fly on the way down. That's kind of how I do it. I've always said I'm a shoot first, aim later. We take risks. Every day is a risk. I try to take calculated risks, but at my heart and at my core, I love building things. I love, starting businesses and being a part of, the growth of different businesses. And, you either win or you learn. And I'm okay with either one.
That's real. So the one thing I want to say is I'm going to send this out to all my investor friends. I'd be telling them, my contractor friends, I'd be telling them all the time, listen, you guys have such an unfair advantage when it comes to investing because you have the rehab side already. If you can just learn the finding properties and the funding side and put it together, you can be absolutely amazing.
Right.
And they hear it, but they don't really take much action on it. So I am excited to hear you say, hey, I was once a painter. Now I am a successful investor. So I want to dive into Jason growing up.
Yeah.
Did you grow up in a 2-parent household? Was both your parents 9 to 5? Was both of them entrepreneurs? What was that like?
So yeah, I grew up here in Wichita, Kansas. Typical home. We were middle class. Both my parents grew up in a 2-parent home. We loved each other. I mean, I had a sister, so one sibling. And again, went to public schools, played sports, grew up, not the white, we didn't have a white picket fence, but, thing. I wasn't a really good student. I mean, I graduated high school with a 2.0. I mean, I love to learn, but I didn't excel at all in school by any means. but yeah, I always from an entrepreneurial family. To some extent, my dad actually he was a missionary's kid. He grew up in the Philippines. His dad was a pastor, and my mom grew up. My grandfather owned his own insurance agency, and so he worked for himself. And my mom saw that she had a kind of an entrepreneurial spirit herself. In the 1980s, she was part of the wallpaper everything club. So she had a successful wallpapering business, and she hung lots of wallpaper. And now in the houses I'm rehabbing, we're pulling it all down. But I saw that entrepreneurial spirit, how to acquire customers, how to perform, do a good job, how to create a business that can sustain yourself. And that's honestly how I got started in painting. I went to a year of junior college and played soccer, and just school wasn't for me. And I started painting that summer afterwards. And so I always had the entrepreneurial bug. I didn't fit the typical mold of working for somebody else or punching a clock or, just that didn't fit me at all. The last real job I had was I worked at J.C. Penney's in 1992, right after graduating high school, and sold luggage. And I hated it, and that was it. I was done.
I'm gonna let Ashley ask the next question, but the thing I want to say is that it's not a coincidence that you're not a 9-to-5 type person.
Right.
When you grow up in an entrepreneur environment, at least one of those parents is what I'm seeing is a entrepreneur, own business. Those things rub off on you growing up, and that's just kind of the way you're built. You're built to be an entrepreneur. You're built to be a risk taker. And the one thing that I challenge our people that's listening is you have to be the example for your kids. You have to be the example for your nieces, nephews that's coming behind you, because you can be the one that changed the whole direction of your family. Absolutely. It starts with somebody. Mm-hmm. Let that somebody be you.
And I love the fact that your granddaddy started it off. Like he started it off, and your mom was like, I think I want that kind of freedom. And then that freedom rubbed off on you on both sides. Normally it's just one side, or it's an aunt, it's an uncle. But to have two sides, no, it's hard to see your parents, to see your family, to have so much freedom to say, okay, now you got to clock in. It's not easy. And I honestly, I know for a fact one of my kids probably won't get good grades. And I tell him all the time, you're the smartest person that I know, but school doesn't engage him. He wants to come and look at houses with us. He wants to learn about tools. He wants to learn about everything else versus what it is. And the freedom spoils him in a way.
All right. I know you're on the timeline, but just an example of what she means. I'm on the phone with my investors and my contractor this morning, and I'm telling him, hey, we got to get a draw in before we can either do some more material or pay you. And I'm like, hey, the money's running low until we get the draw in, which is from the rehab funds. So I hang up the phone, and he like, Dad, what do you mean the money's running low? Like, he's into it. He's engaged.
We don't even know he's listening. Nobody else.
They're always listening. They're always listening.
They are.
So I got to explain to him what's a draw. I got to explain to him what's going on, and he's locked in.
He's like,
now, if it comes to doing some school work, he's like,
yeah.
Unless it's math, he'll volunteer to do math all day long. But anything else, he's like, this is boring. It's not getting me.
Yeah.
But I think it's so important. Let me ask you this question, Jason. When you decided that JCPenney was not for you, were your parents surprised at all?
No.
No.
Not at all. No. They were surprised I even had a job. I worked at a grocery store and sat groceries for a little bit. My first job was at McDonald's. That lasted like 2 weeks. No, I mean, you said it, Antonio. I think entrepreneurs are cut from a different cloth. We got different DNA. I mean, it's just how it is. And the fact that I even had any job was probably more of a shock. And I went to college. I went for a year. I knew I wasn't going to be a good student, and I like learning, but it wasn't for me. You know, I had a soccer scholarship. I loved doing that, but no, right out of the jump, you know, after that year, that summer, I started painting houses. Started my business, started hustling. I mean, I was cutting grass as a kid. I mean, I was going door to door selling, you know, whatever I could get my hands on as a kid. And so that entrepreneurial spirit just drove. I didn't know what it was going to look like and how it was going to materialize. I certainly didn't know I was going to land in real estate. I wished I'd jumped in sooner. You know, the best time to get in real estate was, you know, 5 years ago. The second best time is today.
Absolutely.
Yes.
So I pursued other, you know, businesses. I actually opened a bookstore. We ran a bookstore for 16 years. I was one of the early sellers on Amazon, and we were doing, you know, e-commerce and drop ship and FBA and stuff like that. Which, you know, there's no money in books, by the way, unless you're Jeff Bezos or something. But, you know, it wasn't until we landed in real estate. But, you know, I was always hungry for something. Always, you know, always wanted to hustle. Always wanted to, you know, be doing something. You know, I flipped furniture. I flipped cars. You know, just doing something. But what I love about real estate is you can take that same amount of work, passion, heart, and drive and have far greater rewards than, you know, flipping furniture or flipping phones or sneakers or, you know, whatever. And if you just learn the tools, you get, you know, understand the basics. You know, you said your son's good at math. I suck at math. I mean, I got calculators. I can pencil out a deal. But yeah, entrepreneurs they're just cut different. You know, it just, I don't know. You cut us, and we bleed different.
It's just different.
It is.
I'm gonna ask you a tough question. On this journey of entrepreneurship, what has been your biggest challenge and how did you overcome
it? Limiting beliefs. That was a huge one for me. You know, the fact that I always wanted to carve my own path. I never wanted to work a job or punch a clock at a factory or anything. That was always the case. But limiting beliefs were and can still dog you. I mean, you know, we say things to ourselves that we would never say to somebody else. You know, I'm never going to tell anybody, hey, you can't do that. You know, you're not qualified. You're not smart enough for that. But I would tell myself that. So even though I had this drive and always want to succeed and try something new, I mean, the limiting beliefs, I would say, was my biggest hurdle that I had to overcome. And quite honestly, I didn't even start addressing it properly until about 3 years ago. I hired a business and mindset coach, and that was a game changer. Like, she identified what was what, cut to the quick, you know, helped me identify the stinking thinking that I had, and so many of the things that I had my ceiling here, you know, like, for instance, you know, a lot of us have this conception of like what we think is an adequate salary that we can make, or what we think, you know, when we arrive. Well, if I get there, then I've arrived. Well, guess what? You get there and you plateau. I was like, just, you know, set a different goal. And so 3 years ago, I hired a coach, and that was the beginning of kind of the avalanche for me personally.
So something that I want to highlight, we have pillars to success in our business that we teach our students. One of those pillars is mentorships and education. If you haven't heard nothing, I've heard Jason say he's got a business in mind coach. I know he has a coaching coach. So I can only imagine the different coaches he has. If you ever want the cheat code to success, hire mentors, y'all.
Yeah.
I'm just telling y'all, you can take 10, 15, 20 years of their experience, put it into you, and it expedites your total curve of where you're trying to go.
Yeah.
Invest in yourself, get educated, hire mentors to help you.
I couldn't agree more. That will get you there quicker and with less bruises and bumps along the way.
Yes.
You can avoid the painful pitfalls that are bound to happen. And mentors, you know, they give you the cheat code. They give you the keys to success, and not only give you the keys to success, but they're going to tell you how you can avoid all of the game-changing things that pitfalls and things that would wipe people out. I mean, that's oftentimes, playing offense, that's great, but defense wins championships. And
yes,
you can you can have somebody speak into your life and in your business and tell you all the things that you shouldn't do, that are a waste of time, a waste of your energy, that are going to be financial drains, bad deals to avoid. I mean, that's more than half the battle.
That's priceless.
that's
Right.
it. That's it, man.
I love, and yeah, we've got a common bond there. Hiring good coaches and mentors is critical. There's the truth is, and our mentor Tom says this all the time. There's, this information, it's for everybody. However, a mentor is going to help you disseminate that information, understand it. I always say like this: Tom puts the cookies on the bottom shelf for me. I'm not the I'm not the sharpest tool in the shed and whatever, but a mentor will help you just, apprehend, the concept and put the cookies on the bottom shelf. And that's all I can ask for.
Ain't nothing wrong with
that. So most people, Jason, they're not immediately entrepreneurs. It takes some trial. I would say you were immediately an entrepreneur. Going into, which one did you do first? Did you do the painting or the bookstore? Painting first?
Started out as a painter.
What was your biggest fear when you were starting your painting business?
I was broke. I was broke as a joke.
Surely you can't start a business broke.
No, you can start a painting business broke. That's for sure. Biggest fear, yeah. I mean, the biggest fear, really, yeah, literally was, I was broke. I needed to go hustle. I needed to get some paint jobs. I needed to get a partner and hire a helper. I knew I needed to put it together pretty quick, and I could go land some jobs that were going to pay $1,000 or $1,500. But yeah, that was the fire that, was on my behind, was a financial one. It wasn't until, and that was the genesis of that. But, each step along the way was identifying, okay, now I'm a business owner. I've got some jobs. Now I can pay the rent. My truck broke down. I can pay that. I was implementing, you've always got a new set of challenges are always going to present yourself. And so, then it was, getting operating capital to, develop a marketing budget, getting a strategy, to acquire good people and, just building out a business. But yeah, at the very beginning, I was broke as a joke. I needed some money and I had a paintbrush and a truck.
Well, before you go on, so tell me, because I think we all use this word differently, but it all means the same. And I just want to make sure everybody understands what was a hustle for Jason? Like, what was it like getting up a certain time in the morning? Were you door knocking? Like, what was your hustle to make sure that you got clients for that painting business?
Yeah, I was on the phone. I mean, I knew the quickest way to get a client, get some work was to jump on the phone. I mean, this was back in the 90s. And so, I was in the phone book. There was no Google. I was in the phone book and I'd call people up. I mean, I was placing ads in the newspaper. If you guys remember what those are, these black and white pieces of paper that put up on your front doorstep every day. We'd put ads in the classifieds, just to try to get our phone to ring. And, I would set appointments and I'm still pretty old school. I mean, I'm mostly jotting stuff down on notepads, but I had a day planner, I had a Franklin day planner, and I'd, had my appointments all set and I would go meet at certain times. And, this was before cell phones or anything. But yeah, just the hustle for me was I needed to contact people that had potentially wanted to hire me. And then, I was giving out competitive prices just to stay busy and get busy and allow me to, move forward. I mean, painting took care of me. I did it for 25 years and
wow.
And, it was fun. I mean, there's two types of people in this world. You either love painting or you hate it. So we had to rely on all the people that absolutely hate painting and hire us.
Okay. So for my people who's watching in my chat, what are your fears? What are some fears you have about getting off the sideline? So Now let's talk about some real estate, Jason. What do you do in real estate? What's your sweet spot? What's your baby?
So I'm a house flipper at heart. I started in 2017 and started flipping houses. You mentioned, Antonio, the parlaying your skill set into real estate, and so that's what I did. I had a construction background and I knew some connections. Had I been maybe an accountant, this is what I teach. If you've got everybody's got a superpower they can leverage into real estate. If you're an accountant and you know numbers and you love spreadsheets, you're going to parlay that in. If you're great at sales and negotiations, you're going to use that and leverage that into your real estate. My foot in the door was I knew construction and job sites and, had those connections. So, started out as a house flipper, and I still to this day, I love flipping houses. We do roughly about 40 a year. We also have a wholesaling business. We do wholesales. So we usually do 40 to 50 years on those. And then of course, long-term wealth strategy for investors is you got to hold on to some of them. So, we've got a long and short-term rental portfolio that we do. And then our coaching, much like you, I'm always eager and ready to talk about real estate and share what I've been fortunate and blessed enough to learn. So that's our kind of sweet spot. But if you ask me, if you got to pin me down on one, I'm going to say I'm a house flipper.
House flipper.
Come on.
Okay. So from a ARV standpoint, paint us a picture of what's a house flip in your area. We're buying in Kansas. We're buying it 300. What price range you like to play in?
Yeah.
Walk us through a recent deal you've done.
Okay, recent deal. Yeah, the funny thing is Kansas is pretty cheap. So when I talk numbers, people shake their head and they're like, I don't believe that. That's not right. So typical deal that we'll do. So we just did one over on that was a wholesale deal. Our most recent one we just closed on yesterday. We bought it. It didn't need any work. I did a 2-day flip on it. We paid $90. I put about $1,500 worth of paint and fix ups, and we sold it for $120 in and out the door. That's a wholesale. Some of our flips, we're consistently buying, inventory and flips for, $60, $80, $100,000. We're putting, 30 into them. And I stick to our medium price point. I want first-time home buyers. I want the biggest pool of buyers open to our properties when we sell. And so we're routinely listing 150 to 180. We just had one that we sold for 255, nice out in the suburbs, but that's the kind of price point that works in Wichita. I realize that's like cuckoo talk for most of the country. You're like, I can't buy a one bed, one bath, 400 square foot house for 250, but those are some typical deals and typical margins that we see.
Okay. If you got questions for Jason, make sure you drop them in the chat. You just heard he's flipping, he's wholesaling, he has Airbnbs. Y'all make sure you take advantage of him being here so that you can learn, so that you can continue to grow and do what you have to do.
Where did you get Airbnbs from? Jason, did you say Airbnbs? He said
short-term rentals. Yeah, long and short-term rentals. So that was one thing I dove into. I knew long-term rentals is what I ultimately wanted to hold on to. Nobody comes to Wichita to vacation. I'm just going to be honest.
I was about to ask that.
The Birmingham market is similar to y'all market. Like that's our sweet spot too. 150, 180. Man, we can get them in and out all day.
First time.
Like so, our market is really the same.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I agree, and it's most people shake their head and you're like, I don't get it, but we're in a small mid-sized market and affordable housing. I like it. We don't have crazy appreciation. I don't buy no $1 million houses, but my gosh, we cash flow pretty good and stuff's affordable. But yeah, our B&Bs, I focus strictly around hospitals and universities. So we've got a few colleges here and several hospitals, and that's what we focus on. Smaller houses around hospitals and universities, and they stay busy. I don't do anything, big old 5-bed with a swimming pool or nothing like that. No, I know people that do that. They work great on, if you're in the woods or lake or the ocean. But if you're doing B&B in a non-vacation destination, focus on hospitals universities, things like that, or corporate housing. So that medium term rental market is pretty hot too. And if you can make inroads and connections into, people that are coming in on contract work, that's pretty significant too.
That's a nugget right there, y'all. Especially my people in the Birmingham area. That's a nugget. Small houses, 2-bedroom houses around universities, hospitals.
Yeah.
That's the sweet spot.
Mhm.
I have a friend.
You're
that
competing
does
with
Airbnb.
hotels. Yeah. Sorry, I mean to cut you off. You're competing against hotels at that point, and that's a lot easier swing than trying to fill out a 5-bedroom something on but that's worked for us. We see a great return on that, and it is a little seasonal. Holidays are a little bit lower, but they'll traditionally perform at 2.5 times better than a long-term rental. So if I would have got it, $800-900 out of a unit, we're clearing after all expenses on that same unit, $2,000 a month.
Sweet.
So I love it.
One thing that I noticed that you said, and I don't think we talk about it enough, in most markets, you're not going to get equity and cash flow. Like, you have to choose which one is more important. Is it cash flow? Is it equity? And stick to what it is until you reach that goal, because trying to find a property, a house that does both, it's a rare diamond. All right. So don't think that it's not a deal because it doesn't have equity and cash flow. Jason just said his market focuses on cash flow. He doesn't worry about equity so much. He worries more so about cash flow. The Birmingham market is pretty much the same, but then you have markets like your South Florida markets. The equity is where you're banking on because the cash flow isn't as good and as profitable as it is in the smaller markets.
Yeah, rule of thumb is the higher the purchase price or the after repair value of the house, the lower your cash flow. That's just kind of usually how it works. The cheaper the house, the better your cash flow.
Yeah.
So if you don't get anything else, that's one of the good things I want to get. So we're gonna get out of here probably 5-10 more minutes. What I want you to do, Jason, is to my people who are on the sideline. They've been trying to get into real estate for 5, 6, 7 years, but they just have not pulled the trigger yet. What advice would you give them about overcoming their fears and getting in the game?
You miss every shot you don't take. You got to jump in. And honestly, and I talk to a lot of people that if you've been investigating 5 to 6 years, you need to really ask yourself, hard questions. I had a pastor would tell me, you need to ask yourself hard questions and give yourself honest answers. If you really ain't going to get in, then just own it. Own it. If this isn't, if you've been at this for 6 years and you haven't pulled the trigger, that's all right. Maybe it's not for you. But for those people that are legitimately like analyzing their deals, trying to get as educated as they can, and they're ready to go, you gotta go. You gotta go. Fail forward.
Say that again. That's one of our pillars. Fail forward.
Fail forward, baby.
Absolutely.
So you got to jump in, and it can be scary as heck. I mean, it can be, it really can. This is why you got to lean into mentors. You need a good tribe that you can lean into, and that's important. That's what you guys do. I think that's amazing. Everybody, that is surrounding themselves with good people like yourselves, that is the safety net that a lot of people, crave, and they think they need, and then it's there. But the truth is, like, you jump in, you fail forward, that safety net will be there. But you've got to jump in, take action. Our mutual mentor, Tom, he's all about massive and perfect action. And I could not agree more.
Right.
You can only calculate so much. You can only prepare so much. You've got to jump in. Real estate, just take it from everybody, from all of us here. The water's fine. Just come on in.
Just come on. Okay, so I was gonna go, but I got one more question. I gotta get one more question out of you. Tell us about that one deal that gave you per D hell. What's that one deal that you just like, oh, I wish I never bought this?
I've got a couple. I bought one with a swimming pool one time, and some of the high level stuff that went wrong with that, I overpaid for it. It was one of my first deals. I was eager. I had done a couple of deals, but I was eager just to keep going. So I made the mistake I was just hungry for a deal. So I was outbidding somebody, and I just went too high. I should have hit the brakes.
You got emotional.
Yeah, my maximum allowable offer was here, and I went here. So I overpaid for it. It had a swimming pool. I had a plan. The swimming pool was the worst swimming pool I've ever seen. I should have just buried it, but I spent like $8,000 trying to get that thing resurrected. I did get it going good, and then my roofer on the negotiation on the whole deal, we got it done, identified our buyer. We got through inspections, and they requested a new roof, which I had rolled the dice on it and see if I could get by with it. My roofer ended up throwing a bunch of the roofing nails ended up in the pool liner and tore it. And so there was a leak. I got sued. Great. My roofer paid for half of it. I paid for half of it. And on that deal, had I not had to pay for half of that liner in that pool, which was, I don't know, I think we were like $3,000 or something, and we split it. I would have almost broke even, but after that whole thing, I ended up losing money on that. So I learned I can't overpay for a deal. I need to stick with my numbers. My rehab went sideways. I actually had contractors quit on me, and I had a lot of lessons on that one. But my biggest lesson is I have not bought a swimming pool since then.
I think it's so amazing because you said, I've had some pretty bad ones, but it hasn't stopped you. You're still investing. You're still doing it. You're going to have ups and downs in anything that you do, whether you're facing your fears and you're jumping into real estate, you're starting your own business, whatever it is, investing in stocks, you're going to have some bumps, some bruises down the road. But will you have the tenacity? Will you have the courage to get back up and do it again? Just because you have a bump or a bruise doesn't mean that it's not for you. This isn't something you're supposed to be doing. I tell you guys all the time, there's scars on my back for a reason when it comes to investing, when it comes to being a business owner. And those reasons are to, one, shorten your learning curve, but to create that generational wealth, to teach my family, to teach those who are around me that you can do whatever it is that you want to do as long as you put your mind to it and you don't give up. It is so much easier to quit than it is to keep going.
Ooh, facts. Okay, we got a couple questions for you, Jason. Then we're gonna get out of here.
Yeah.
So one of the questions was,
what are hard money lenders we should look into? We looked into Lima One, and are there any others for someone who doesn't have access to private money? I'm looking in the Wichita market.
So are there any lenders in the Kansas market you would recommend?
Yeah, OCG Capital is a good hard money lender. It's ocgcapital.org. They're good. I think they're based out of Dallas, but I've done deals with them. They're good. They lend. I think they lend in like 40 some states. Mm-hmm. So yeah, they're good. Private network. Obviously, I love teaching private money, and just as the name implies, it's friends of friends and people within your network. So that's not really a hey, here's Joe. That's my guy. He's going to loan you money. No, he's not. He's loaning me money. But yeah, hard money. I would tell you this, OCG Capital would be a good, Lima's great. Lender One. Some of the national ones are good and they've got competitive rates. Try to lean into your private network. It is amazing to know and teach the concept of, I don't have any rich uncles. I didn't come from money or nothing. But you get a little bit of a track record underneath you. You get one or two deals. The third deal I had a private lender. The first two deals I had, I got a signature loan from Discover Bank. They were sending out the credit cards, and I mean that's just how I got in the game. By the third deal, I had a little bit of a track record, and you start having conversations, and you're the horse that people are going to bet on, and they're going to say, "Let's go."
Let's go.
Man, that's amazing. The one thing I talk about when it comes to that private lending part is there's people around you that will invest in you because of you. and the things that you have done over your lifespan and the trust they have in you. It doesn't even matter about the real estate sometimes.
Yeah.
That's not even interested in them. But they know you, they have built in a trust in you, and they will invest in you. But you have to be able to open your mouth and say what you're looking for, what you're going to do with the funds, and how you're going to execute the deal.
Yeah. And don't say, I'm thinking about investing in real estate. No, I'm investing in real estate. I'm an investor. Like, put those words into the atmosphere that this is what you're doing. This is what you want to do. And just watch how those doors start opening. Watch how those conversations change. And the people the closest to you are going to be like, you need help? I've always wanted to do it.
Yep.
The saying that says you dress for the job you want, not for the one you have. That's the same thing with your
Bingo.
money.
Ooh, good one. Good one. Okay, we'll get one more book
You are a
question.
boss investor. You need to be a boss investor. You need to exude confidence, whether you've got a million deals behind you or just two. Approach it like that.
Somebody said, true. 5 to 6 deals in, we get friends and colleagues coming up asking if they can loan us money.
Definitely.
That's how it works, y'all.
Yep.
That's how it works. And don't try to keep it a secret what you're doing. Tell everybody you come in contact with what you're trying to do. All right. This is going to be our last question because we got a hard stop on us. So this question is, go ask.
I see the books in the background. Any books you would recommend to help with limiting beliefs?
Ooh, that's a good one.
Let me see. I'll pull one up. I think Anita Greenwood was the coach that I hired, and she teaches a philosophy of more of a psychology. And so I'm not, I don't have any specific books to lean into, but I would tell you this, like, refine yourself as a person, understand that, you were created for significance. There's people that are counting on your success. So you don't want to let them down. And so as far as the mindset goes, no, I'm sorry. I do have a lot of books. It's mostly show. I've read probably 5 of them. Atomic Habits is one I always recommend. Compound Effect was a big one on me. They don't really speak to limiting beliefs. But yeah, find somebody that's going to invest in you, that's not afraid to call you out on the mat, call BS on stuff. And that type of individual is going to make all the difference.
So I don't have one on limiting beliefs, but one book that I would always recommend to any entrepreneur that's trying to get into business is Rich Dad Poor Dad by Robert Kiyosaki. That book changed me personally. And I believe that if you read that book and actually process the information, it can really help guide you in a direction that you need to grow your business and be a business owner and not just try to have a high-paying job.
Yeah, I agree. That's the standard. That's the gold standard for book recommendation, because it does give you, it's a mindset shift. And so
yes,
it
you
is.
just see things differently. You're looking through the lens like this. Kiyosaki lets you say, hey, take those off and look through it like this.
Yes, totally agree. So and we're pretty go. Somebody said cash flow quadrant. That's a good one also.
After you read, so cash flow quadrant, after you read Rich Dad Poor Dad, because you have to read it in a sequence, or otherwise it's really not going to do you any justice. Read Rich Dad Poor Dad first before you do cash flow quadrant, because the things that they talk about in cash flow, Rich Dad Poor Dad really lays out the foundations for it so that you understand it and you can start executing it once you get to cash flow quadrant. Y'all had me out here.
I had a thought. I forgot.
Looking for a book.
You should try to join a book club. All right. Well, we are fin to exit.
We are getting ready to exit. Yep.
Well, say it again.
Getting ready to.
We are getting ready to exit. Is that how you're supposed to say it, Ashley? Close it out then. Go ahead.
All right. You guys, I am so thankful you guys came on today. If you are watching this later and you have some questions, we will monitor the chats, make sure we help you. But the most important thing that we want you to know is get out of your fears, get out of your head, get out of your own way. You can absolutely do whatever it is that you are aiming and striving to do.
All right, my thought came back. Hold up. So we have to reclose us out. No matter how much real estate you hear, if you don't change your mental, none of it's going to make sense to you. Like it all starts between your ears. Your mental, your mindset, your thoughts, your belief have to change if you're going to go down this road of real estate or entrepreneur. You cannot have a ordinary mindset.
Okay. Come on.
You cannot have an ordinary mindset and expect extraordinary things.
Absolutely.
You have to change your mindset, and you have to get around people that's going to consistently challenge your mindset.
Absolutely.
All right, I'm done.
Bingo, bingo. You guys, we love you. We can't wait to see you next time. Hit us in the DM if you got any questions. Jason, we absolutely appreciate you.
If they want to get in contact with you, Jason, what's the best way to get in contact with you?
Best way, just Facebook. I'm old school. I'm almost 50, man. I'm on some of those other ones, but I don't pay attention to them. So it's Jason Lavender. I'm in Wichita, Kansas. Look for the blue check mark. That's the best way. Hit me on Facebook, Messenger.
Let's go. Love you guys.
Thank you, Jason. Thank you, everybody, for coming and watching. Give us a thumbs up or a couple of fires if you got one or two nuggets from this podcast. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Love you guys.
Peace.